Interesting. Hey, what's up, hardheads? Welcome back to my channel. Scream 2022 is finally out here. It's finally here. And it actually brought me out for my break. As you guys know, I was taking a little break. I haven't posted anything out in a while. And, you know, I just had to come in talk about this movie because, I mean, it's Scream. Come on. So when a Scream movie releases, you have to come out from your break to talk about it. And that's why I'm here. Let's get into this movie.
I like it spooky.
Scream 2022 is one of my most anticipated movies of this year. Last year I had my Halloween Kills movie, and this year I have Scream 2022. Even though Halloween Ends come out this year, but Scream was definitely one of my most anticipated. And guys, I have to say it lived up to my expectations. As Scream fans, we were all looking forward to this movie just to see what type of story they was going to give us this time, what Ghostface is up to this time, how they was going to bring Sid and Dewey and Gail back, and they delivered. Matt Open and Tyler Gillette gave us what we needed for this Scream. Now, this is the first Scream movie that doesn't have Wes Craven. Wes Craven directed all 4 Scream films, and now that he had passed on, we have new directors here. I was worried at first because Wes isn't here anymore. You have these new directors attached to this project, and even though we still got Kevin Williamson, it's going to miss that Wes Craven touch. But after watching this movie, I felt like Wes kind of directed this himself. You can tell that these directors made this with love. They said it was for Wes by the end of this film, and you can definitely tell that it was for Wes and for the horror fans that love Scream so much. But before I dig deeper into this review, this is going to be spoiler free, and then the second half of this video is going to be spoilers, because I have to talk about what the hell happened in this film, because I'm itching to talk about this. So I'm excited to talk about Scream, so I had to do 2 videos in one, and that's what I'm going to do. So I will put a timestamp in the description, so if you guys haven't seen a movie and you just here for the spoiler free, you can watch this video, but at the timestamp where I put at the bottom in the description, that's where you'll stop, because that's when I'm going to be talking about spoilers. So look out for that. So these Scream characters, I was worried at first, y'all. I was worried because, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're dealing with teenagers in these Scream films, they could be a hit or miss. Sometimes they're just like not likable, and you just want them all to go because they're all disposable, because they're all here to get slashed up. But I genuinely like these characters in this movie. I can't really think of one character I really dislike. I mean, there's some characters in here that has more screen time than others and maybe have more, I guess, dialogue than others, but I will say that I enjoy everybody so far, and I enjoyed the teenagers in this new world of Scream. Particularly my standouts were Jenna Ortega and Jasmine Savoy Brown. Those two were just chef's kiss. Jenna Ortega's opening, playing as Tara, killed it. Now, when we get a Scream movie, we all look forward to that opening kill. That's what Scream movies are usually all about in the beginning. That's what we look forward to. And when we got this with, you know, Tara, I was just super hyped, because in Scream 4, we had so many of those fake stab opening, you know, in the beginning of the movie. You didn't know what was real and what was fake until we actually got to the real action. And by the time we got to that part, I really didn't care anymore. So in this movie, I'm happy they just stuck with one character. They paid tribute to Casey Becker and, you know, the instance of talking about scary movies, and especially modern day scary movies or elevated horror, because that was the conversation that was going on. I hate that term so much, but what are you gonna do? But I love that they talked about those type of horror movies like the Babadook and the A24 films. It was a great call to modern horror. So just to see that suspense build up after Tara's having a conversation with Ghostface on the phone, and then you have like the smart locks unlocking and locking and unlocking, and just that whole scene with them together was just super suspenseful. I loved it, and it just kicked things off right with this movie. And the rest of the characters, like Sam Carpenter, that's actually the sister of Tara Carpenter, who's played by Melissa Barrera, did a great job. She's kind of like the new lead in this movie, because it focused on her coming back to Woodsboro after the events that happened with her sister, to see what the hell happened and what was going on. And we follow her and her boyfriend Richie to see what the hell happened with Tara. Then we introduced to Tara friends. We have Mindy, Liv, Chad, Amber. We're introduced to these characters as the new teen. Oh, and also Wes. I can't forget about Wes because tribute Wes Craven. And we're introduced to these teens, of Woodsboro High, and we're following them because obviously their friend was attacked, and they're all trying to find out who the killer is. And they do such a great job in pointing the finger at each other because as an audience member, you're sitting there just like, okay, I think it's that killer, but no, that person's suspicious, so I think they're climbing up on my list. And as you're feeling that way, these characters are feeling the same exact way. They're, staying, keeping their distance from each other. But the only difference is, I feel like if I'm suspecting somebody, I want to keep away from them completely. Some of these guys suspect that they're the killers and still hang around them, and that's not kind of realistic in my opinion. I think that's kind of weird. I would just lock myself in my room. I want nothing to do with you if I suspect you're the killer. But I mean, these are teenagers, so who knows what they're thinking. Now, this movie itself is very dark, in my personal opinion. There's a lot of interesting things that happen in this version of Scream, but I'll talk more about that in the spoiler version of this review. But I have to say that this is a much darker version. Ghostface is not playing any games at all. The kills are a little bit more gorier, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more violent. And what I mean by that is you don't really get your Michael Myers style kills or Jason or Freddy or whatever. Ghostface is still stabbing people up, and he's doing his thing, or they're doing their thing. But I will say the kills are a little bit more, again, aggressive. You're stabbing people repeatedly, where in the previous films people might get stabbed once or twice, thrown out a window, thrown off a balcony, things like that. No, Ghostface wants you dead. He was trying to make sure that you're dead. So people's getting stabbed in, somewhere in the face and interesting parts of the face, stabbed in hands and just all over. And they do such a great job when they're showing these kills because it stays with you. When somebody's getting killed, they take their time with it. You see the penetration of the blade, a little bit more violent than your normal Scream movie, which I actually prefer and I enjoy it. And you can just tell that these killers are much angrier. As I was watching this, I'm just like, all right, they're more violent. So they must really got something out against Sydney, or they're trying to get something accomplished here, because they seem to be a lot more angrier than what I'm used to. So they did such a great job with these kills, and I was here for it. And it made me cringe at some scenes. It's not too obsessive, but I think they did a great job as far as these kills. The tone of this movie is dark. It's not as witty as some of your Scream movies, but it still has it. It still has that Scream cheese and, those one-liners and funny moments and things like that, but it also has more of a serious tone. It's a lot more emotional than your other Scream movies as well. There's moments in here that I actually wanted to tear up and cry just because things got a little bit crazy and I wasn't expecting those things, and you actually felt for some of these characters. So I like this tone of Scream, and I wonder where they're going to take it if they decide to do another one after this. I have to talk about, last but not least, Sidney Prescott, Gail Weathers, and Dewey. These three characters I was obviously super excited to see, as we all were, because I mean, come on, they're the faces of Scream. So seeing these guys come back in this new version, it just had me all of my feels with all the nostalgia. There's moments when you see Dewey and they're playing his theme song, and it just kind of takes you back. And one thing I like about this too is that these characters don't appear to be scared anymore, particularly Sydney. Sydney is just here to get the job done. She's quick with her words, she's quick with her weapons, and she's just ready to go. She had enough of this bullshit. She's been through it before. She even make a quote in this movie where she said, "This kind of gets boring." That's not a spoiler alert, because I mean, it's there and you can tell in the trailer. She says this is boring because she's been through all of this before, and right now this is just a repeated action that she just keeps going through over and over again. And I like this version of Sydney. Sydney is just more about the shit, and she's ready to get stuff done, and she's no longer scared. They should be actually scared of Sydney fucking Prescott. These three characters coming back and just seeing their faces on the screen again, and just dealing with this new Ghostface issue that's going on in Woodsboro again. Overall, guys, I had a blast with Scream. Scream is funny, is violent, is delightfully dark. It's just an amazing nostalgic masterpiece of a sequel, or a requel. Now that's the new line. This is something that was done well, and this is definitely a love letter to Scream fans and also to Wes Craven. I feel like he would love this film if he was still here. Scream 5 is one of those movies I'm probably going to watch over and over again. It definitely has replay value. I have to figure out where it's going to go in my ranking. I have an idea where it's going to go, but You guys see it later. But I love this movie. It's a good time. I give it 4.5 Ghostface masks, a hard head watch. Check out this movie. I have a few gripes with this movie. One of them is being the reveal of the killers. Well, particularly one killer, because one of them I guessed, and it was just whatever. But that was like really my only main gripe with this movie, is just the killer reveal. I thought it was going to be something more exciting, and we didn't get that, but it was still fun. But we'll talk more about that in the spoiler review. So yeah, guys, check out the spoiler review, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're new, show your boy some love, and I'll see you guys in the second half of this video if you're going to check out the spoiler. See you there. Peace.
I'll be right back.
He's dead.
Welcome to the second half of this video, where I'm getting into some spoilers and things I liked about the new Scream. So I have to spell out all my feelings on this movie because it was just that good to me. When this movie began, we get Tara on his phone in reference to Casey Becker in the first Scream, and she's, you know, on his phone with the Ghostface killer, and she's terrified. And I will say that this scene, like I mentioned in my spoiler free, was super intense. It was good. It was a crazy time, and I'm happy that they went inside their original bag with this one right here, because they made it more scarier. Unlike Scream 4, where you had all these stab openings, and then when you finally get to the real one, you're just like, all right, child, get it over with. I don't care. Let's get into the movie. This one right here, it was great. It was suspenseful, and they're talking about modern horror, or elevated horror, which I hate that fucking word. But elevated horror is talked about in this movie. They're talking about the Babadook and, you know, mostly A24 films and stuff like that. And they get into it, and then Tara is attacked by Ghostface. You all think that Tara's gonna, you know, die, but she starts to kick ass with Ghostface, even though she's, you know, getting slashed up and stabbed up, you know, her hand and her back. She actually survives. She survives and makes it to pretty much the end of the film, which is pretty cool. And that's a first for a Scream movie, because usually in the opening of Scream movies, the character gets killed off. In this case right here, you think that she's going to die multiple times, but she actually survives, which is great. I love Jenna Ortega. She's a great up-and-coming Scream queen, in my personal opinion. She's just an amazing actress. So I feel like she killed this opening act right here, and she did such an amazing job. I mentioned about the characters and things like that, and how I didn't know how I felt about them at first, but then I grew to like some of them, and some of them I didn't. Because a lot of them were, again, they didn't have that... I just didn't have that connection with them. But some of them was actually pretty cool. Again, Jasmine Savoy Brown, who plays Mindy, was great. She's like the new Randy and Kirby. She knows her horror knowledge. And it makes sense, is because her and her brother in this movie are the niece and nephew to Randy. Unfortunately, he's gone. But, you know, Martha is here, and she makes an appearance. And that was just a fun character to see, because we haven't seen her since, I believe, Scream 2. We also have Sam Carpenter, who's also related to Tara Carpenter in the opening act, Jenna Ortega's character. And she goes back into Woodsboro because she finds out that her sister's been attacked, and she has this boyfriend. And Richie's kind of funny. The actor's Jack Quaid. He's also on The Boys on Amazon Prime. I love that show. So I kind of suspected him in this already, just because he kept watching stab films on Netflix. He wanted to play this, I don't know, it was just something about him and a lot of scenes in this film that was a little off, and I suspected him right away. The other killer I didn't quite so much, because again, these kids, they did a great job pointing fingers at each other and who's the actual killer. And when we got that second reveal, I was just like, okay, I wasn't expecting this person here, but they did a great job with that one. But I already knew Richie was going to be one of the killers. Sam go back in town to help out her sister Tara, and then she's caught up in this whole whirlwind of Ghostface and, you know, Tara friends being killed and she being attacked herself. But we also find out that Sam is related to Billy Loomis, because she is Billy Loomis's daughter. Apparently, Billy Loomis hooked up with somebody before getting with Sydney, or while with Sydney. I don't know what the hell was happening. And she ended up, you know, here in Woodsboro, and she found out through her mother that Billy Loomis got her pregnant, and now she's sad because
she is the daughter of a serial killer.
So she's seeing these visions of Billy Loomis, and you actually have Skeet Ulrich back, and he's back in the film, and he looks exactly how he looks in the first Scream. Honestly, CGI is CGI heavy. They try to make him look young, but if you look in those eyes, you can tell that's an older Skeet Ulrich in there. But they did such a great job. Now, what I really didn't like is how they kept bringing him up, because they kind of leaned into Sam being the killer too, which is cool, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, all right, everybody is a suspect in this case here, but it didn't really go anywhere. But by the time we got to the end of the film, she's just having these like visions of her dead father, and it's just like, yeah, like you got this vision of him, and at first I was like, how you know what he looked like? But again, movies made after it, you got the Stab movie, so she probably watched them and see, you know, what he looked like, how, you know, before he got killed and things like that. But it was just very interesting in where they took this direction. It was cool to see Skeet, but at the same time I felt like it wasn't really needed because they didn't really do much with it. And I mean, I guess it helped Sam character develop a little bit more as far as what she was going through in her past and why she left town. I just felt like they leaned too heavy on her seeing her dead father a lot in this movie, so that's one of the things that really took me out. And guys, I also have to say that we lose one of our legacy characters, and it had to be Dewey. Now, watching the trailer, you kind of predict that's what was going to happen because it was set up that way. So I sensed that was coming, but how it happened, I wasn't expecting, because we all love Dewey. Dewey's just adorable, and just how he got killed and how long that shot was of him being stabbed and gutted, it leaned heavy on that a lot. And just seeing Gail's reaction and how, you know, she handled Dewey being dead, and then that also brings Sydney back into Woodsboro because she was no way coming back, but now that Dewey's gone, that brings her back to Woodsboro, and now they're fighting Ghostface together. Also with Dewey, I just love every time we seen him, because Dewey has his own theme song, they brought that back into this film here, which I love, because every time you see him in the other movies, he have his own theme song, and they brought that back in this movie, and I was literally cheesing. I was just like, I just feel like I'm watching just OG Scream, like this is a Scream movie, y'all, and it just felt like that again, and it just felt good, and I love it. I don't know, I'm feeling weird right now, but it is what it is. I'm a Scream fan, whatever. It also leads into some Easter eggs. We also see Tatum in this movie. Now, Tatum is actually not here. We just see her ashes in Dewey's house, which is pretty cool because it just shows you, oh, Tatum was Dewey's sister in the first movie, and, you know, he got her stuff there, you know, in his house in memory of her. And there also is a character that's related to Stu that gets killed in this movie, and they play one of Scream's main themes. I don't know the name of the song exactly, but when you hear it on the radio as this character is about to be killed, it just takes you right back to those movies. And I'm just like, this is fucking good. This movie is made for Scream fans. It's so good. One of the things I was disappointed about is I mentioned that Richie was one of the killers, and then we have now also a killer is Amber, who is Tara's friend. Now, she is played by Mikey Madison, who I like. She has a grungy look, in my opinion. She has like one of those, if you look at her, you could tell that she could play a good killer, and I think that's the choice they made with her in this movie here, because she made a crazy psychopath killer, and she actually lives in Stu's old house that we see in the original movie, and she partners up with Richie, and Richie want to become this, he's tired of the Stab movies going into a direction like all movies do when they're going for too long, where they go to outer space or they doing, you know, a whole bunch of weird magic stuff. He wanted to go back to how he loved it, the OG Stab movies. So what he's doing is he partner up with Amber, and they partner up together to kill all these people so they can bring back and do a requel of the Stab movies, which is meta as fuck because that's what's happening now. This is the movie that we're watching. So Amber is revealed to be the killer, and she's balls to the wall crazy. But one of the things I didn't like is how it was revealed, and I really didn't buy Richie being a killer. Like, I understand his motive now, but it just, to me, the reveal was kind of weak. I expected the reveal to be a little bit more deeper and just a little bit more, you know, just hit the heart a little bit more, you know what I mean? So when we got these two, I'm like, oh shit, like, I mean, I guess it's cool, I like it, but I thought it was gonna be something different. And it was something different, but it just, I guess, wasn't what I expected. So these two, they're great killers. I mean, again, like I said, they fucking these people up in this movie. But when we got the reveal, it just wasn't who I wanted it to be. And I wanted it to be somebody, just maybe a legacy character, or somebody from the past, or somebody that's still alive, or somebody that's connected to Sydney. Just something. And these two here, they're great. We can add them into the Hall of Fame of crazy-ass killers in the Scream franchise, but it just wasn't who I expected. So that was like one of my disappointments a little bit. Again, I'm here for Amber's character, but I was just like, and the same thing with Richie. I'm just like, really? Again, I suspected him the whole entire time. Amber, she had moments when she would look at people, particularly she would look at Mindy a certain way, and I'm just like, yeah. But then Mindy would do some crazy shit too, so it was a little rough. But yeah, I didn't really care for the reveal too much. But overall, this movie rocked, y'all. It was a good time. The climax, the third act in this movie was just crazy. It was fun. It was, again, violent. It was everything that I needed, and it was just so great to see Gail and Sydney team up, had some snarky remarks, team up and whoop some ass in this movie. That was one of the best things about this movie too. It's just like, again, I mentioned they were tired of all the bullshit, and even though they were getting stabbed up and almost killed, they still was kicking ass and whooping ass, and that's what I wanted to see, and just solidified that Sydney Prescott is not to be fucked with, and I absolutely love it. So there you go, Scream 5. Again, I give it a 4.5 out of 5 Ghostface masks. This movie was all that. It was everything that I wanted. Also, I wanted Kirby back. I'm mad that she's not back. They implied that she's back. Easter eggs in there somewhere. But I want to actually see her face. But maybe next time. Maybe we get her in the next one. But that's my review on Scream, y'all. Hopefully you guys like it. Maybe I'll come back and do a panel with some friends. Who knows? I love this movie so much. I'm definitely going to see it again. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you've seen the movie, obviously you should have seen the movie if you're watching this video right here, this part of the video. Write it down in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe if you're new, show your both some love, and I'm happy to be back. I'm back. I'm going to do some more reviews and some more fun stuff, and yeah, guys, it's going to be a good time. Also, Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.